He's playing some great football. How about one of the best battles of the weekend coming in the NFC between the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys? The Lions have been one of the best teams this season at getting some yards after the catch, of course. Detroit's offense is second in the NFL in yards after the catch per game, behind only the Chiefs, and fifth per reception. They could exploit this Dallas defense, which ranks next to last in yak per reception allowed. This new on NFL Live from our Cowboys reporter Todd Archer. The Cowboys will be without linebacker Eric Kendricks Sunday versus the Lions. He's been ruled out with a shoulder injury. His backup, Nick Vigil, is questionable, by the way, with a foot injury. Dan, let's start there with how you see this matchup's going to play out. I mean, that's a huge loss for the Cowboys in trying to face a team that maybe they were seemingly overmatched in that area anyway.
Yeah, I think the key to the game is, can Dallas defensively cover the middle of the field against Detroit's offense? That's where Detroit and Jared want to live, is in their pass game, work in the middle of the field. Now you're taking Kendricks out, who not only is their starter, but he's one of the better cover linebackers that we have and knows Zimmer's scheme inside and out. This is massive, and I think you're going to see Ben Johnson and this Detroit offense, both in their drop back game but also in their play action game, absolutely tear apart the middle of the field. The second concern I have is this. If they don't get to Jared Goff, he's going to throw for 300. And I don't think this defensive line without like DeMarcus and Micah can get to him. So this bodes huge for Detroit's offense and Jared Goff to have a ton of success. Work the middle of the field, keep him clean. He could throw it as good as about anybody in the NFL.
Completely agree. Dallas's run defense has been better over the last couple of weeks, but those two teams, the Giants and Steelers, are not Detroit. They've also stacked the box in those two games at the highest rate in the NFL. If you do that against this Detroit offense, they will do everything Dan just described. They will mercilessly rip you up with play action over the middle of the field. I kind of feel like with the Cowboys, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't in this scenario. I would feel better if they had those pass rushers, because at least you could get pressure on passing downs, but that's going to be an issue without them. This is an uphill battle for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, RC, the last time we saw this Cowboys offense, Dak Prescott was orchestrating the game-winning drive there in Pittsburgh. What does their offense need to do against the Lions, though, to help get the win?
They're going to have to be superhuman. I think Mina and Dan laid out perfect for you how much of a mismatch this is when the Detroit Lions have the ball, especially with some of those important pieces on defense gone for the Dallas Cowboys. And so Dak Prescott is going to have to play at an MVP level. That stretch that he had last year after the San Francisco 49er primetime game where he didn't play well, he's going to have to play at that level. I'm thinking the way he played last week from a production standpoint without the two costly interceptions. CeeDee Lamb is going to have one of those top-tier wide receiver games. And Tolbert and Turpin are going to continue to have to show. And Rico Dowdell is going to have the sort of running game we saw against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so what we're saying is everybody on the Dallas Cowboys offense is going to have to play the best game they've played the entire season in order to have an opportunity to win. And I know that sounds like hyperbole and we're hyping it up, but this is a match made in heaven for a Detroit Lions offense, which means you're going to have to match that offensively if you're the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, real quick, in many ways, like if you think Dallas is a playoff team, prove it. Like this is a great weekend. I want to ask you a quick question, RC. If CeeDee's in the slot, do you think Detroit feels okay Branch covering him in man coverage?
I do. But, I realized Branch was a little banged up. And now they want to allow him to play so much safety, where Amik Robinson has now been the guy that's in the slot. And that's probably a mismatch from a stature standpoint for a guy like CeeDee, who is so long and also has a great catch radius.
I have a sneaking suspicion that you guys aren't going to like this. We're all in the Lions, so we got to sound the gong. That means the picks are in. That means you cannot change your pick. But let me just – there we go.
Marcus.
Hey, listen, let me say this, though. We were actually 3-0 against the Jinx last week, so maybe the NFL life curse doesn't.
It's a new year, Ruddy. It's a new year.
Doesn't always apply.
Did Lily post that on social?
Yeah. How about that,
come
Lily?
on.
Everybody wants to post when we're wrong, post when we're right. 4 times a year.
First of all, this team does have a strong run game. We just haven't seen it come to fruition consistently enough. Secondly, I think there become times where you can find people pressing a little bit because there's an expectation for production, and when it's not met, you can feel a sense of urgency. But I believe our guys are ready to answer the bell and make the quarter turn adjustments we need to make to get this thing on track.
Mina, what do you think of those comments from Downing?
Well, if there is a strong run game, we certainly haven't seen it. I mean, Breece Hall, as you see here, has been in running back hell this year. Lowest yards before contact of any team in football. Teams are just all over their runs. He's got to find a way to create space by displacing defenders. One way you do that is, wait for it, with motion. In fact, when they actually do use motion, they go from 28th in success rate on the ground to 13th this season. So I think that's one lever that Todd Downing can press to try to create some space for Breece Hall back there.
Let's go to the New England Patriots, where rookie quarterback Drake May will be making his first start for the Patriots against Houston on Sunday. May will be put in behind one of the worst pass protections in the league. Patriots QBs have been pressured on 47% of dropbacks this season, the only team in the league over 40%. For reference, they also have the worst pass block win rate in the league. Meanwhile, the Texans rank 4th in pass rush win rate. We just found out, RC, that Ramondre Stevenson won't be out there in this game, so goodness, uphill battle potentially for Drake May. How do you expect the Patriots offense to look Sunday?
This is a great week to start your rookie quarterback. I hear you loud and clear, Laura Rutledge. I don't think he's going to fare well. I mean, everything is stacked against this young man, and I don't understand what the rush is to start Drake May this week. If you came into the season with a plan to allow Jacoby Brissett to start until your team was ready to be the softest landing spot for Drake May it could possibly be, why does it have to be this week? I don't care that you're at home. I think this is a terrible time for the rookie to get his first opportunity.
Man, you heard it here, first, second, third, and fourth. Okay, the New Orleans Saints rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler will make his first start of the year against the Bucs in place of the injured Derek Carr. Those on the internet who have been wanting this, I see you. The quarterbacks flew off the board at the start of the 2024 NFL Draft. Quarterbacks went off the board with each of the top 3 and 6, and then the top 12 picks. Then there wasn't another quarterback taken until the 150th pick, and that's where they took Spencer Rattler out of South Carolina. He was the MVP at the 2024 Reese's Senior Bowl. Dan, how can the Saints put Rattler in the best position to succeed on Sunday?
Yeah, they got to be much better on the interior of their offensive line. That caused some Derek Carr mistakes and bad decisions last week, them not seeing some of the pressures and the moving parts defensively. And then I'd say this, 12-plus targets for Alvin Kamara. Spencer Rattler didn't go 150th in this draft because he's not talented. He didn't go 150th because he doesn't have tremendous arm ability. He does. If they can play better up front, you're going to see this offense look like it did the first couple weeks when it came to taking shots down the field. He's plenty capable, but they got to protect it interior and then get the ball to Kamara as quickly as possible.
All right, hashtag the agenda. I only know this from being a fan of the Mina show featuring Lenny. This is a real thing amongst some of these fans who want to see Spencer Rattler out there. We'll see what. Yeah, come on now. I'm really interested as somebody who's been a fan of his for a while. Oh, shoot, sorry.
Hey, we are back for Foreshadow Friday. And Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels have made it spooky for defenses. But we're going to take the positions of the Washington Commanders coordinators and how they'll need to be attacking both of these teams. Here you're going to see we have big personnel on the field. We have Kolar and we have Ricard on the outside. We're going to get the handoff to Derrick Henry in the backfield. We have big men blocking little men, and watch the way they get to the secondary so quickly, and on that second level, how difficult Derrick Henry is to tackle.
And that's going to be a huge part, RC, because the Baltimore Ravens can do what? They can put Ricard, they could put Likely, they could put Kolar, and Mark Andrews. Absolutely.
At one point, right? So here, you're going to see where they have 13 personnel, Dan. Let's show them the 2 tight ends here. Obviously, the tight end that's in motion as well. And just as we saw against the Raiders, we have pistol. Now, Frankie Louvu is going to make this a 5-man front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because they understand they have to be ready to stop the run. On this block now, they actually miss a gap. You see Frankie Louvu, he wants to distort the line of scrimmage, and watch the way Bobby Wagner is folding over the top. Bobby Wagner here folding over the top with this guard. Dan, how difficult is it for runners to find space when you distort the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, it's a really good job. When you're talking about Bobby Wagner flowing over the top, the point that you make of Louvu kind of getting that collision right there, it's almost like a designed run blitz or run stunt to create penetration.
Absolutely. So think about this. Say the Washington Commanders play well against the design run. Now you're going to get the RPO. You're going to have the unblocked guy here. And just like they did against Kyler Murray, you're going to have your eyes on Kyler because you don't want him to pull it and get to the outside. Here, look at the way Frankie Louvu attacks downhill. We have a hat on a hat on a hat, and then watch him close backside to make sure there's no cutback.
Let me ask you a quick question. So as a defensive guy, when you get that dynamic athletic quarterback like Lamar in this situation, do you like the way that defender's playing kind of flat, square-shouldered?
Well, see, he has to play flat here, right? Because if Lamar Jackson, if his number disappears to Lamar Jackson, he knows, even like Kyler Murray, I'm going to outrun him. You at least need to be able to get flat so you can get back downhill.
And retrace downhill.
Yep.
But it's all about that front side kind of giving him a chance to do that.
Right here, they want a man on a man on a man, but watch how quickly Frankie Louvu made the double declare.
That's fantastic. Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, huge in this football game. So I go back to last week and watching Baltimore's defense against Cincinnati, and I thought Cincinnati had a ton of success running their 2x2 RPO. What do I mean by 2x2? You got 2 people here, you got 2 people up top, so that gives 4 guys pass catchers. Now the RPO is a relatively simple concept. You know it, RC. We'll get like a little bit of a hook there. We got a flat, and Joe Burrow is just reading those defenders. He's saying, okay, there's 1, 2, 3. I only got 1, 2. Excuse me. I only got 1, 2. So I'm going to make sure that 3/2. I just want to hand that football off, right?
Here. Now the difference between the Cincinnati Bengals, though, and what we're going to see from Washington is that we can pull the football here and have quarterback run. We're not going to see that happen for Joe a lot of times, especially mid-game.
Exactly. Joe a little bit more to throw it, but because they play that shell defense, I've got numbers advantages, good run game because Brian Robinson, Eckler, they've been fantastic in Washington running the football. So I wanted to say, okay, does Washington have this? A couple things for everyone to pay attention to. We've talked about it. Number one, they're going to run this in no huddle. They caught Cleveland a couple times last week with 12 on the field. So that's something for Baltimore defensively to pay attention to, making sure you get your people off the field. The second thing is there's that 2x2 formation, 2 down here, 2 up top. It's going to be a relatively similar concept. You're going to get a little slant RC, a little flat down here, and then this tight end from the backside is going to bluff, block, and then become another flat defender. It's almost like zone read and RPO.
Absolutely. If you pause it there, Dan, look at the position this puts JOK in. Watch on the fake. JOK has to know, okay, all right, we're going to get somebody that has the dive. Either I have to wrap here and get to Jaden Daniels, but that also opens up the slot slant right away.
Right here. That slot slant could happen right there. So I'm putting this guy, it's almost that triple option. Am I handing it off? Am I throwing it? Or am I being that keeper as the quarterback? And I love the fact that Washington's taught this tight end, hey, if you get the football now, great. If not, and you're going to see Jaden Daniels, he'll point to him. Yes, go become a blocker. And I think that's going to be a huge challenge for Baltimore. One, handling that tempo and making sure everybody's communicated, because I'll play this back from the jump. If you watch Washington or Cleveland's defense, they're all scrambling, running
nobody's
around.
ready to play.
Absolutely. So that's going to be huge in this game, these RPOs with the tempo.
And I think that's what Cliff has done, right? He's made sure he's had some of those RPO principles for Jaden, not only for the pass, but for the run and to put people in the bind. And on the other side of the field, Joe Witt Jr. understands if he doesn't stop the run as the defensive coordinator of the Commanders, it takes the football out of their dynamic offensive players' hands, and it also allows the Baltimore Ravens to get rolling downhill as they want to. Last week, we were right. We'll see if we're right again.
I think you guys will be, especially because that football's inside the crystal ball.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, rub that thing, but maybe not.
We were actually about to leave.
Anyway.
We were about to leave, but Chris told us to stay. And
no, you have to stay.
He has a
we're gonna
permanent
put the game
position
picks
now.
up.
We listen.
Yeah, that's look at this, guys. We're going to have to sound the gong once again. We got 2 gongs.
Don't feel good about no.
You can't change it.
Switch it right now.
Switch it. We
Switch it right now.
No. When we sound the gong, that means the pick is in, and I am no longer allowing you people to change your picks, including me. This applies to me, too. So but still a lot to figure out there. Mina, how can the Eagles offense get back on track, coming off of a bye, extra time for people to get healthy?
I think it starts with knowing your opponent. I suspect that the Browns are going to play the Eagles not too dissimilarly from how they played Washington, which is to say commit extra bodies to stopping the run, asking those linebackers to scrape to stop designed runs. Now, Jaden Daniels still punished them, as you saw, for that anyways, because he's so fast. And then on the back end, I think they'll play a lot of man coverage, a lot of single high, as they normally do. And there'll be opportunities there for Jalen Hurts in the passing game, especially obviously with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith back. There will be one-on-ones versus this defense. So for me, it's really just incumbent upon whether or not Hurts stays calm in the face of pressure. He doesn't need to bail out of muddy pockets. Those opportunities will be there. His receivers will get open. They can win those one-on-ones. And I think a lot of it just comes down to the play of the quarterback and whether or not he delivers in the ball.
Yeah, so this game bodes well for Jalen to start to fix and rectify the thing that's been his biggest flaw this year so far, just holding on to the football. And you just heard Mina talk. Cleveland's going to play a ton of man. When you, as a quarterback, have man coverage, you kind of know who you're throwing the football to more often than not before you get it. It's like, hey, my guy versus your guy. I got A.J. Brown versus somebody other than Denzel Ward. I'm going to give A.J. Brown the chance. And I think that's been the biggest issue for Jalen this year, is just holding on to the football so long and playing so slow. Well, playing a defensive man coverage, it's going to be like, I'm just going to find the best matchup. And I would encourage Jalen, get the ball out of your hands quickly to those one-on-one, those man versus mans, and let those guys win in those situations and allow your offense to build some rhythm in the pass game timing-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay for Jalen Hurts to allow his guys to be great.
Yes.
You don't have to control everything. Everything doesn't have to be a big play. It's okay to pick up 4 yards on a check down or get the ball in Saquon Barkley's hands late and allow him to be the dynamic runner that he is. I think Kellen Moore has to remember that this should run through Saquon Barkley, even with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown back. And I love what Dan said about the matchups. You can also look at matchups with Devontae Smith in that way. If Devontae Smith has a Newsome or an Emerson who have struggled this year, give him an opportunity to win, especially in the intermediate part of the field. And again, you cannot forget the tight ends. I felt like when they played against the New Orleans Saints and they had an opportunity to utilize them, they did, and they did to the success of the team.
Usually I don't like when the Eagles come out and hunt big plays I think this is a game where you do that. I do think this is a game you're aggressive through the air, try to take advantage of those one-on-ones we're talking about, and then you allow your defense to hunt an offense in Cleveland that's searching for something when it comes to positivity.
I mean, they're like the legit sign of a sitting duck.
Yeah.
Like if you can't hunt the Cleveland offense, you need to stop hunting.
Yeah, we gotta relegate.
Well,
I'm cool with this.
We're all picking the Eagles, but
fine.
it's okay.
3-3.
Yeah.
If we don't get this one, it's the Eagles' fault, not ours.
Yeah. And again,
We
we will
also
have a lot of
agree that
talking
it's
points next week.
relatively low scoring across the board. Shocker. Okay.